So this is officially the start of my live show, KM Studio Sessions. For this first half, I'm gonna be working on this commission piece. It's still untitled. I'm still feeling it out. It's been for me a bit of a balancing act because it's a pretty intense scene, and this piece is ultimately for a good friend of mine's son, who's very young, and I didn't want to shy away from something that, for me has been present all year. That's how this year started. There were like fires everywhere in California. So I didn't want to shy away from things like that. And some of the information I received was that he loves firefighters, he loves Triceratops. Um, so I was like, you know what? He knows what those concepts are. And if we're going dinosaurs, let's let's honor it. Let's not walk away from it or shy away from it. And so when I pitched this as my commission, um, to my friend's credit, she she was like, "Yeah, that sounds great," and I was like, "Awesome!" So it's been a long time coming. I gave it time to sit. I wanted to make sure I didn't just rush back in, so I really let it dry, and then I sat with it for about, I think it's been 2 weeks now. Um, I don't typically get to take my time like this, and so I'm really grateful, that there wasn't, like, any major pressure to, like, get it done because sometimes you just can't rush what needs to be channeled. Um, I feel really good about it. I am a little nervous, so I always make sure I read my mantra. There are no wrong marks. You won't know if you don't go, and so I'm gonna keep working on it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking this out. If you find this in the interwebs at some point, I do this. This is the first, but I'll be doing this every Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard. Let's see. So things I want to look at raise background elements like the pteranodons, the sauropod over here. This is all foreground stuff. I'm still sitting with it. I haven't decided what color I want to make them, but I think I'm gonna make them bluish purple. I initially wanted to do bluish green, but I know this is gonna be a patch of grass, so I don't want them to blend in too much. So we'll see. Whenever I like bring up this concept of there are no wrong marks, this was that moment. It's literally like when you jump into cold water, you know, you like it's summer, you're at the beach. I don't know about y'all, but I fucking hate that cold plunge. I hate it so much. But then every time you do it, within like 15 seconds you acclimate and you're like, "Oh, this is way nicer than the fucking heat." So this was that. I literally just looked at my palette and I was like, "This maroonish purple, I don't really ever use this." I didn't even really think about it just now, and then but once I placed it right here, it's like there's no going back. You kinda gotta go, and the thing that I always wanna, like, tell people is, like, you can plan and plan and plan, and at some point, you just gotta start. You gotta do the thing. I know a lot of artists who they do studies and everything, and that's great. I encourage it. I don't necessarily love it myself, and it took a long time for me to accept that whatever I put down, that's the final. I don't I don't care to do studies. Sometimes I don't know if I'm gonna have it in me to, like, do another painting of, like, the same subject. Right now, I'm just loosely adding color to start building up the layers. I'm not sure where it's going still. I may even need a reference later in terms of, like, creating the skin, like dinosaur textured skin. But right now, I'm already trying to lay that foundation by skipping areas. And that was kind of the plan when I first put down this orange wash. I wanted them to kind of glow from beneath. Um, and I'm pretty non precious about this. Excuse me. I'm drinking kombucha and I'm super gassy. And when I say I'm not precious, it's like my mixture here, it's blending in with whatever was on my palette. I always take that as a blessing. I don't reset my palette and, blah, 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 like, everything's gotta be perfect and the color's gotta be this. So, like, look, that's wild. I did not want it to be this dark, but I know that I can add to this. It's not all lost when you put down a color and you're not crazy about it. You have time, especially if you're using proper paper, which for watercolor, there's nothing really better than 100% cotton paper. I will say I just said that, but that's if you're going the traditional route. I recently just discovered, mineral paper, which I love, and I'm gonna continue using. I'm experimenting with it right now. And create little speckle spots, creating lines that when they dry down, hopefully when I put the next layer, if it's transparent, these will still show through. All this is a game of texture, adding more and more texture. I like using my finger. Another paper that I've come across when I first started my studio, it's called Yupo. It's a synthetic paper. different than the mineral paper in that it's plastic. It's a type of propylene or something, but you get really incredible, interesting textures from that and things that you can do things with it that you absolutely cannot with even the best cotton paper. I highly encourage both. I encourage everyone to go out and experiment. The mineral paper was wild. It was like maybe $10 for like 12 sheets, like 8 by 10 or something. You can erase what you've done in some cases. Like if it's too staining, then no, but like you're able to kind of like wipe it clean because it's some kind of like carbonate material, some rock stuff. So yeah, this is very much me just in a high, what's that expression? Tightrope. It does sometimes feel like a tightrope, especially when it's being recorded and I'm just doing it. But I welcome this. I encourage others to share what they're making. Throw on some orange. Why not? I think there's a misconception around being an artist and what we can do. You know, you get commissions and people expect you to know what you're going to do. It's not so one to one, like you go to a doctor and you have a pain and then they check it out and then they assess it and then they give you something and you move on. Art is not like that. It can be, you can deliver, but where's the fun in knowing exactly what you're going to deliver? This is, I'm finding out in real time right now what the paper and the pigments are giving me. My hand has some control, but it's an illusion. I'm just sort of like, all right, I'm gonna keep putting pigments down here and hope for the best. And then I might just add a little of this opera pink. I love opera pink. It's one of my favorite colors to work with. Hmm. So this is the underside of the mother's head. I'm gonna just start putting darker values in already. I'm not gonna use the exact same approach as the top of the head. And this is all, this is very preliminary. Watercolor always looks like crazy until you just keep going. It's a game of trust. You know, I had some of this. At some point, I did have a plan to use aquamarine. Aquamarine? No. What am I? What is the blue? Ultramarine? Because it's a granulating pigment, meaning it naturally spreads and separates as it dries down. This is that color, and so hopefully that's gonna give me some extra texture without me having to work hard and, like, keep using my brush. That was the initial plan, and then I kinda forgot about it, but I just remembered. So we'll give it some ultramarine brew. Hey, Joe, some ultramarine blue. Ooh, that's cool. And then there's always the discoveries that you make along the way when you start playing, like right now. I'm like, ooh, I love what's happening. These are like kind of turning greenish because of the orange underpainting. If you're not having fun, you're just not doing it right. See, and again, this part that I'm sort of painting where I'm going back in and I'm charging with like different colors. This isn't possible if you're using just any paper. Um, that's why you'll always kind of hear people bring up like arches when referring to watercolor paper because Arches has a monopoly on being great paper. But there are other great brands, and honestly, this paper I'm using right now, it's like defunct clearance sale artist loft, which is like Michael's, I guess, like their brand, the generic option. I guess it's like kind of like starter artist materials. I don't love their paints, but this paper slaps. It's like some of my favorite paper to work on, and I never would have known that had I not given it a little chance. Um, but it's 100% cotton. And it allows me to just work on it like all day long. Like, look at this. I can just keep charging with more water and more pigments and just get some really cool, strange, funky textures. And again, this is what I fucking love about it. Every time I sit down with my watercolors, I'm surprised. I have no idea what's coming. Even when I have a plan, the paper always surprises me. So I guess we did go purple. You know, I'm still on a path of recovery as an artist from the bullshit construct of it's gotta be photo real or the technique has to be immaculate and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't have to be anything but what you want it to be. Like right here, I threw those down. I'm gonna leave it. I like it. Does it look realistic? I don't know. Do I care? Not really. And look at that. Just like that, I just discovered a new detail that I love. And if I had not given myself permission, I never would know. I thought I was gonna start here, and then my hand was like, "Nope, right here. Go in." I think subconsciously I knew this is more important, and this will dictate what color I make those things, and I don't know that information yet, even though I've been sitting with this painting for months. I don't know because I'm giving myself that grace to figure it out in real time. The other thing is a lot of this might disappear, like all these beautiful details. They may not. If I'm trying to keep this sort of realistic in terms of lighting effects, then it might disappear because they're going to be backlit, or what am I saying? This will be in darkness because the light is coming from the front. So they'll have like a rim light, but you don't always have to make it super realistic. If I end up loving the paint job and how this is going, then I'll pivot. But I did say this was a blue, purplish triceratops, and so that's what we're going to honor. Sometimes you do have to adjust the brush. So let me make sure that this painting's in view. Like if you want to do a dot, you do have to aim directly down. Otherwise, if the brush has a point, it's going to always make it more like angular. So I'm just going to keep lining it, giving it different line textures. The baby will be a little smoother, but that's what I wanted to delineate. I want the mother to look more lived in, like she's had her skin a lot longer. And so there's all these little bumps and scales and scars, even. She's been through some shit. Give her some folds in the neck. I think, yeah, you'll see it most clearly in the horns, since I'm just using the ultramarine blue. Don't be afraid to move the paper. You don't have to like break your wrist trying to prove that you can paint it a certain way. If it if you need to get a certain angle and it's easier to do it down and up, then rotate your painting. See, I like how that's kind of already drying down, so I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna enhance the texture with a little more water, but I want it to kind of look um cracked and stuff because she's been around. My point being, never be afraid of texture. Texture makes everything crackle. Mm, I feel like the beak is similar to the horns in terms of like material, so I'll go ahead and do a base of the same blue. I'm gonna leave space for it to do interesting things. I'm gonna leave space around everything because I'm gonna ink it. Mm, Work on the foot a little. And here's the thing, I don't wanna do too much to this because I don't want this to be the focus. The focus is right sort of here. So I'm gonna make my strokes a bit more vague. It's kinda like in a photograph when things are out of focus. They just are kind of bigger shapes and stuff. All of this is gonna be greenish. Okay. So this is a moment for me to just like assess if I like the direction we're going in. I'm not sure yet, but I like what I'm seeing. That's awesome. I'm not touching it. That's also pretty cool. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna let that sit. So this would be a time to, if I don't, my therapist once upon a time said, if you don't know what to do, do nothing. And that might be some of the best advice I've ever heard in my entire life. And you can absolutely apply it to art. So I don't know how I feel fully yet. All I knew is that I had to put it down how I did, and I explained it for the last 30 minutes. I'm looking at it and I'm not sure. Is it my favorite texture? Not really. I'm not sure if I'm gonna love it, but this is what I had to do. This is what I had. My hand took over, so I gotta. If I don't know what to do, I'm gonna leave it alone. Do nothing. Gives me time to work on some grass, which is easier because for me, that's it's a way to stay in the main vein. It's, I don't want the grass to stick out too much. It should be muddy. And I'm gonna start over the baby because once see, ooh, I love this. Once I start putting color down on the baby, there it'll be harder to get this illusion of grass in front of the child. Like this is awesome. I love all of this texture. Wow. Again, I don't fully know what I'm doing. I'm just exploring. It's like, okay, I know that grass does this. This is what it kind of looks like. It's like these long blades, and I do try and approach my work like I don't know what, or I don't know how to render something because then I surprise myself. And then when a brush does that, take it, use it. Don't try and erase it. Every now and then, because my work can be quite free form, you do want to create contrast. So I want to honor that little flower I drew by leaving it visible. Here, I'm gonna just put more color down. It's kind of, again, messy, and you just do what you want. Like, is this the way other watercolorists would do it? Probably not. Other artists, maybe. But this is how I'm doing it. So basically, I'm just kind of like patchworking here. Typically with watercolorists, they'll put down a value across the board. Then they let that dry, then they add a darker and a darker and a darker. As you can see, I have not. I am just going in with all of them at the same time. And from that emerges just more texture, contrast. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for realism. I'm not looking to render this in a way that's going to make me feel really cool. I'm just workhorse, get the pigments down. I'll figure out the rest later. And the cool part about this is that I'm learning how to do it my way because I'm not following how it's supposed to be done. I'm figuring it out literally like right now. That's awesome. Like, what? Look at this. I feel like people don't get it when they see my work and they meet me and we're chopping it up at my table and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, your work's so beautiful." I'm like, "Thank you. I have no idea how I did it." Like, straight up. It's a surprise to me too. That's how I know this is channeled. It's like when this happens, I'm like, "What?" It just endlessly makes me happy when I see what the paints will do on their own. Yeah, fun. This is so much fun. It did feel fun when I started up here and put that first magenta stroke down. When I did that, I was like, "Fuck, I already fucked it up." And now I'm down here in the grass just enjoying myself. I don't want it to be too cool toned, so I'm going to start adding this warmer green. I think also what's happening here is I wanted to show that this is the hope, and the Pteranodons have arrived just in time. They're taking out whoever needs saving, but they're coming in with the water. And so perhaps this beautiful patch of green grass is safe. Like they've come in just in time. That's the feeling. And again, it's like all I can do is honor what's happening. And then if I give myself breaks and I look closer, I see it happening. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is what's up. And then my hope as an artist is that when this gets to the little boy, that he'll be looking for these things. He'll spend time in here looking at this burnt branch that used to be a tree. He'll be looking at the flames. He'll be looking at the roots, wondering why are the roots sticking out. But it's like, he'll get lost in all of this. And that's incredible to me. That's where we all start as children. We don't look at this and we think, oh, wow, look at how you rendered that. It's like children just go right in. They say yes and. They're the best at improv. So this is exciting because I know that little Evan is he's going to see all of this and be like, what? And he'll be able to do that for the rest of his days because he's just a babe still. And it's an honor for me to create this painting, something that will live in his room, it'll grow up with him. I'll be an old man, and this is being documented. And maybe we'll talk about this painting again in a few decades. Don't be afraid to put your fingerprint in it too. I love adding my fingerprint to my paintings. Everyone's always like, "Aren't you scared someone's gonna use your fingerprint?" I'm like, "Whatever." I'm not living my life with fear anymore. If someone's gonna try and fucking take my identity by scanning my painting, I might be impressed. But it's, like, crazy that those are the thoughts people have. Like, instead of being like, "Oh, whoa, interesting, unique," the first thought is, "Someone's gonna steal your fingerprint." Okay, I'm gonna leave this alone because I could be here forever just loving all of this, and I have that tendency to just keep going. I think a lot of us as artists do, and so knowing when to stop and give it some time is an important tool in your kit. I'm gonna let that dry down. I'm gonna stretch my back a little. Oh, this is dope. Yesterday I had no one in here. Today I've got one person in here. I hope I see 3, and then 5, and then 7 as this keeps going. But I will be here doing this, so let's see. I'm gonna change up my music. I really wish I could play music here and honor the artists, but it's not possible. So, I'm listening to music on my headphones while we keep this nice and quiet. I'm gonna do a quick push on IG, let people know this is actually happening. I'm so glad I left. I'm so glad I did not continue pursuing this on fucking Instagram. Sometimes we really just gotta choose ourselves. I was talking about this last night after I made the switch over here, but we so easily give our power away, and it's a daily practice to pull back our energy back into ourself. I thought I needed to start my live show on Instagram because that's where all my followers were. And it's not like a crazy amount. I have like 2,000 followers roughly, and it's like it's not nothing, but it's not like crazy, but it still was enough pressure for me not to do what I wanted to do, which was not support Meta, a company that is like so against what I stand for, and yet I still felt like I needed to do it, and that's exactly what they wanted. They want us to keep thinking that we can't do it any other way. We need them. We need constant notifications, constant surveillance. They talk to us about privacy, but meanwhile they're selling all of our data, like, and they have all the fucking money. I'm so over people with all the money and not doing anything to move our culture, our like global culture forward. So I'm really happy to be in my alignment doing this on Substack. This was the goal when I first came back to Instagram. I made this announcement of I'm not doing this. I don't stand for what Instagram is about anymore, and I was gonna like taper off. And so by this past May, I was supposed to be done. But then, I was also starting my studio and my business, and it has been an incredible tool. And I've connected with so many wonderful people because of it. I've gotten so many opportunities because of it. So I decided I'd stay longer and use it as a tool for good. and take up space. But then when I wanted to do this live show, I was torn. I'm like, do I do it on YouTube? Do I do it on IG? Do I do it on Substack? Like, Substack, I had 25 followers. And so I was like, well, that's not a great reach and blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Who cares? I had to set myself free. I found all the reasons why I thought I had to stay. And then yesterday in real time, I was like, fuck it, I'm out. This is just not what I stand for. And if I gotta start from 0, then I gotta start from 0. The joy is I'm not alone. Like, I'm doing my life and I got one person in this with me, so thank you. And this goes right into Substack, and then I'm building my archive of the art in real time. I'm gonna be Substack live, streaming at my markets soon. I just invested in a piece of gear that's gonna allow for me to have the same setup, but in person at my markets while I'm cooking up on the street with people. And so I'm really excited for that as like another step in this direction. I had to get out of my own way. This is super cool. Okay, so she's almost dry. I can kind of start assessing. I'm not sure yet, so I'm debating directions. Because what I don't want to do is just go in with more pigment and lose magical stuff that's dried down. Like, that's all really cool. So this is my technique. This is like how I approach it. I think what is best for me to start here is inking with my favorite pen. When I start inking this, those are places that I know for sure are I want to emphasize. And so then this will become move into the it'll sink in. It won't be as forward as it is right now once I add black ink. And then I'll know where I just want to enhance things. But I think we're okay. It looks crazy, but just for example, I was working on this one. I'll be working on it later today, but this carrot piece, like, there was no ink and I was unsure. I was like, there's all these like random textures. Like, it doesn't look like a carrot. It's not realistic, but it doesn't matter. That's not even the point. And so once I started pulling the ink in and creating the shapes, I don't want to lose all this like incredible like blends and textures. I might add like some contrast so that we give her even more curves. I might give her some lip gloss and then she's done. She gonna be hella dainty. So you never know. My point is ink always helps. That's how you know I'm not like a traditional watercolorist. All traditionalists, they want it in one medium, perfect it, master the medium. What I'm mastering is myself and my vision. So watercolors just happens to be something I love and came to only in my healing. I have not touched the eye, so let's give this some. So here's where like this is for me the most fun part. It's when you start defining the textures that you just threw down. You don't have to work hard. It's just like, all right, this was here. This is what the water gave me. So this is let's see, I have my little reference. Every now and then, we all need a good reference. So this helps me understand the shape, and I might even just sort of lay down a loose. This just kind of helps me formulate where I'm going. I'm gonna leave her right there. And also, see, this is where interesting things start happening, where I'm like, again, we always need reminders. Like, this was not about realism. So it's like, what, like, this? This is worth sharing. Okay. That. So that was a light spot. My circle was too big. I could have made a different choice. I could have left it alone, or I could have gone back in like I did. I added a second line. And now to me, it's like, yeah, that could be a scale or a little window of light somewhere else. And I'm gonna lean into that. That's what this is. I didn't know it, and now I do. It gave me my direction. It showed it to me. And it's like, okay, within this triceratops is the entire universe. And it's all because of this tiny ass little thing. But that informs everything else I'm going to do now. It gives me permission. That's all we're doing, giving ourselves permission. I love this already. See, I'm like, okay, cool. I was not sure where I was going with any of this, as y'all know, if you're watching. And here I am, walking back in. The thing is, you gotta be willing to let shit go. You have to let go of what you thought you were gonna be doing. So if you can't let shit go, then you're just this is true of life. Then it's gonna be a hard life. I was there, and then my health collapsed, and then I was forced to let it go, and something better came in when I surrendered. What? Okay, I love all this. I didn't like it 5 minutes ago, and now I love it. Let that speak to what ink can do. Let that speak to not just ink, but, like, let that speak to what contrast can do. And then I'm not gonna try to, articulate exactly what's happening here, like making it like um a very clear beak and the horn, and I'm just gonna do enough to suggest it all. That's it. Like this, whatever. Who knows what's going on here? But what I do love is this little section, this and these lines create sort of like this like flap structure thing, and it's like that's enough. Like that, it sort of looks real. It sort of doesn't. Let it do the work for me. And then all I'm gonna keep doing is emphasizing little interesting spaces that I appreciate. I was gonna like keep her name private, but Nadia, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to further free myself. Thank you for supporting my studio when it was just starting out. I'm honored to be making this for your son. It's helping free me. That's the thing again. I When you're making art for a child, you know that there are no wrong marks because they have not yet been inundated, indoctrinated, imprisoned by this false matrix concept of perfection and striving and overachieving and, you know, having to make it something worthy of being looked at. To children, everything is worth looking at. All art, all lines, all colors, everything is just they wanna know why you did it. They don't care about how good it looks or whatever. It's just it's such an adult problem. I highly encourage everyone to, like, release it. That's what kept me away from art for 20 years. I chose a whole different career path because I let other people tell me whether I was good or bad at this. So now I've gotta decide where do I want the eye looking. I don't have to decide it right this second, but, like, it's coming up. At some point, I'm gonna have to touch the inside and make decisions. I'm debating if I want it to be, like, all black. I want it to be, like, sticking out. I don't know yet. So guess what? Imma do nothing. I'm just gonna work around it. And you remember when I said, you put down the ink and then you see what else needs to be enhanced? It's it's forming. I still don't know fully, but I'm closer now with the ink. Man, this is cool. And these are like little cracks and stuff from her run-ins with T-Rex and other triceratops. Okay, let's see. Okay, still figuring it out. I'm gonna leave it alone. Come back. What time is it? Ooh, sorry, y'all, if that was loud. Just dropped my water. Mm, alright. I already made a choice. That's the thing that's gonna come up again and again. You're gonna watch my hand just do things. I don't really have control over it. The hand is doing it. It's just channeling. So, yeah, that's the eye. Or at least it's the start. Still unsure about whether we're gonna fill it in with a pupil or not. I typically don't, but, look at that. Again, I don't question it, but it's like once I gave the mom an eye, the child emerges. And this is absolutely not accurate. It doesn't need to be. Like, although we don't know. It's only newer knowledge now we uh that we've gathered that Triceratops had these quills that made him kind of look featherish. So I feel like that's what I'm honoring over here without realizing it. I've decided that I'm not going to give the baby much color. I'm gonna work with the orange that's already here, just highlight it, but I kind of like that the baby's glowing like this. So I like the idea. I think it's interesting. I didn't expect that to be where I was headed, and like everything else, I don't question it. I just move. I'm also Still undecided about how backlight how backlit I want this to be. Um, so we'll see. I want to give him the base of his skull. Whenever I see the sort of like head skull shaped thing, I just think about Sarah from Land Before Time. I'm gonna give her, I mean him, a little belly because he eats well. His mama know where the good pastures are. This little cranium thing. Oops. Sorry. Again, foot, I don't want to focus too much. So it's just enough to give it that contrast to give it shape. But see, look at that. Whatever. Basically, my art is me dancing on the page. And I don't do choreography. I just fucking break it out. Now I'm gonna start adding. Nope, I just got multiple downloads. and keep them to myself until they show up. Sometimes, again, you're going in a direction, and then your personal touches really start emerging. Where do you want this to go? What do you want to say with the piece beyond just what the initial prompt was? What we need right now is peace. Mhm, mhm. I've gotten quiet because, as you can see, these are choices that have now defined the painting. I had a sense that that's where I wanted to go, and then I went for it, and I stand by it. I want the kid to represent our sacred children. So all the flowers coming out his back, they're floating off. This is the future. This is the past. Not everything is lost. That's why I want this little baby glowing. It's kind of like all the other painting and talking and going through it was just kind of the get it all to a certain space so that it could become this. And when that happens, I lock in. I kind of love this unfinished detail of the cliffside, so I might leave it alone. 7:30. This is a halfway point. I'm gonna take a little break. Thank you for being here. This was part one of KM Studio Sessions number 5. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Peace.